And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the weekly PDAX webinars where we talk about crypto, blockchain, and everything, and feature and invite special guests over now. So for this week's webinar, for those watching already and tuned in, hello, my name is Kyle, and for this week's episode, we will be talking about investing in Treasury bonds with Bonds.PH. So we'll be talking more about the recent project of the Board of Treasury in releasing the RTP 24. And with us, we have our very own founder and CEO, Nichel Gaba, who will be joining us, and a special guest host, Mimi Ong, who is the ANC business news correspondent. No, I'm just and for this week's episode, silang dalawa mag-uusap. I'll stay out of the frame and let the professionals speak naman. So I'll just welcome here Mimi and Nichelle. Hi, Mimi. Hi,
Hi,
Nichelle.
hi, Kyle.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Michelle. Hi. So
Hi,
thank
Yes.
you.
Okay.
Can you hear
Sorry.
me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay. So
Great.
I guess I should start asking the questions, no? Okay.
I will.
So for those who are watching, I've been friends with Nichelle for like the longest time, and he's so excited about this project. Now finally, andito na. So Nichelle, before we go to the app, let's talk about bonds. What is a bond? I know there's a saying, your word is your bond. But for the ordinary Filipinos, what is a bond as an investment vehicle? What does it do?
Very, very interesting question, Mimi. Actually, a lot of people nagugulat, ano ba yung bond? But we deal with bonds every day. Okay? Utang. Bond is utang. Right? If you own a San Miguel Corporation bond or a Bureau of Treasury issued na treasury bond, ibig sabihin, may utang sa'yo yung entity. Okay, so it earns interest just like any other debt or utang, borrowing. Sanay tayo kasi with peer-to-peer lending, right? We borrow from our friends, we borrow from our family. But when institutions or big companies borrow money, it's usually in the form of a bond.
Mhm. And it's nice to think about it, Nichelle, because usually when you say utang, it's usually us, the private individual, na umuutang sa bank. But in this case, sila naman ang uutang sa atin, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's
So
correct.
maybe a company like San Miguel, when they issue bonds, uutang sila sa'yo,
Yeah.
and also the government. So let's talk about the government bonds or government securities. How does it work? The retail treasury bond. So
Right.
essentially, ang may utang sa'yo is the Philippine government, correct?
Yep, that's correct. That's correct. So under the law, the government has the ability to issue bonds to raise money from the public by giving you this promise that they'll pay you back after 5 years, for example. So itong RTB that we're talking about, it has a 5-year maturity. So after 5 years, the government will pay you back. And during that time, yung government will also pay you interest, no, in the form of coupon payments. So really, it's your government that will borrow money from you, and most government bonds are considered risk free. So anong ibig sabihin nun? When I borrow money from my friends, baka may chance hindi ko sila mabayaran. Right? Things can happen, etc. Or when a corporation borrows money from the public via a corporate bond, there's also some risk there. Yung company might go bankrupt, hindi sila makapag-operate, etc. But governments are generally seen as risk-free, right? Whatever happens, they will be able to pay you back.
Question. We consider bonds as fixed income, correct?
Correct.
Kasi you have an idea na if I invest this much money, ito yung makukuha ko at the end of the
Correct.
period. So,
Correct.
talking about this RTB 24. Bakit 24? Is it the 24th retail treasury bond?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So it's the 24th issuance. In January, we had the RTB 23. Okay, so
Oh.
yeah, sequential lang siya.
Okay, and you're calling this Progreso bonds.
So actually, the BTR, decided to call these Progreso bonds para sa pag-aakon ng bayan. Because yung pinaka purpose ng bond is to fund our country's recovery, especially in
Okay,
this
so give us the details. How do we buy the bond? How do we participate?
Right, great question. So normally, when you want to buy a bond, you go to a bank, and that's how traditionally bond distribution is done. Kapag meron ka ng RM, tatawagan mo na lang yung RM mo that you want to order.
Wait, RM is relationship manager.
Relationship manager, yeah. If you have a relationship manager sa bank. Beginning last year, the BTR tried to accept orders online. So merong online ordering facility, courtesy of Land Bank. This year, we launched the Bonds.PH app. So now, pwede ka na mag-order ng government bonds through your phone. And what's nice about it is a lot of us don't really have the time to take a leave sometimes para pumunta ng bank to order. Physical distancing tayo now. You can use your app, right? And it will earn you interest. And it's risk-free.
Wait lang. So if I were interested, I would just go to the Apple Store or the Google Store, the Google Play app or something. I'm not techie, but and then you look for Bonds.PH. Okay, and then what's the logo of Bonds.PH? So it's like a bird na nasa heart. Tama ba?
Ano yan? Mimi, that's an eagle. Yeah. So, eagle
in the heart. Okay.
Eagle na yung wings niya naka-shape ng heart and then naka-drape yung Philippine flag. Yeah, that's the...
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It's very heroic because what you're doing is a heroic deed. So you simply have to download the app, and when you download the app, kailangan ba may online bank ka to be able to buy?
No, you don't need a bank account. So if, for example, you walang bank wherever you are right now, or you don't have a bank account, pwede kang mag-cash in using GCash or Paymaya.
Okay.
So you can download either of those two apps and cash in using their offline channels. So pwede kang mag-load ng GCash through 7-Eleven, through pawn shops, or mga remittance agents. So, yeah, you don't need a bank account.
And how long is the process? Like for people like me na hindi naman, we're not techie, hirap na hirap kami sa mga ganyan. How long is the process? From the time I download it, I'll input, syempre I'll have a PIN, I'll have a password. I know KYC is also done via the app na, no?
That's correct.
It's fast.
That's correct. That's correct. So KYC, which is know your customer, that's required by any financial institution. You have to give your personal details. You have to show an ID. So KYC, it probably will take about 5 minutes to fill out all the maybe less. Pero pag hindi techie, siguro 5 minutes, mahaba na yun for you to fill out the information. And then what happens is your KYC information will be reviewed by Union Bank. Okay?
The partner, your partner here.
Union Bank is the broker, it's the dealer for the RTB 24. Um, and then they'll approve the KYC. They'll perform some checks, make sure na the usual the usual bank background checks. Tapos they approve the KYC, and then pwede ka na mag-cash in after that.
So let's go to the bond itself. So how much do I need to have to be able to buy a bond? How much is one bond?
Right. So the minimum is 5,000 pesos. Right.
Okay.
And this is actually very small already, because in the past, you'd need a substantial amount, like 50,000 pesos, 100,000 pesos to buy bonds. But with the RTB, the smallest denomination is 5,000 pesos.
5,000 pesos. What is the maturity period? How long
Right.
will you hold money?
For the RTB 24, it's for 5 years. Okay? So yung interest rate na 2.625%, you're gonna earn that for 5 years. But of course, if you need your money back, you can also sell the bond on the app.
I was going to say, because when you look at the app, it says buying and selling. So when I sell it, for example, in the middle of 5 years, I need the money.
Right.
Whom do I sell? Dun na rin sa app.
Doon na rin sa app. So on the app, you will see there a sell screen. No? You just click sell and select the bond na you own, and then you can sell it to Union Bank. So effectively, Union Bank will buy the bond from you.
Wait lang. So every time I want to sell, for sure somebody will get it. For sure Union Bank will get it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Oh, that's very liquid pala kung ganon.
Yes, it's very liquid. So.
But at what price? At what price? Because for example, in the middle, like I'm 2.5 years na. So halfway through to earning the interest, at what price do I sell the bond? Is it the 5,000 which I put in at the start, or does the price move?
So actually, the price moves. So parang stock, a bond also moves in price depending on market conditions. But you can because this is a risk-free instrument, and it's a fixed income. Kanina we talked about fixed income instruments. Hindi masyadong magalaw yung price. Like it's not gonna hindi siya, hindi wild. Yeah.
I see. So you mentioned earlier, what's the coupon? What's the coupon rate for this? It's 2.625% per annum. Is that high or is that low?
Actually, if you consider the current interest rate environment, you might say that it's a little low, right? Because you have companies also issuing bonds at a higher rate. I think the special thing about the retail treasury bond kasi is that it carries very little risk, right? Because it's a treasury bond. So in that sense, 2.625 is relatively high if you compare it to time deposits na
1.25. Actually, Nichel, for those who are interested to compute, there's actually a calculator. The Treasury, they can go to www.treasury.gov.ph/RTB and they can input. In fact, I tried, Nichel, because I'm going to try it myself. So you input 5,000. If you put it sa Progreso bonds, interest rate of 2.625, after 5 years, the return is 525 pesos. If you put the same amount, 5,000, sa time deposit of 1.125%, after 5 years, 225 pesos lang. So times 2 yung kita mas.
That's right. So yeah, you can really earn more than if naka-time deposit lang.
If time deposit lang, pwede na to risk-free. But Nichel, for those who are covering the market or who play the market, they will know that 2.265 is relatively conservative pa. But when
Yeah.
you it's risk-free. Kasi for example, sa stock market, my goodness, you see the swings are so wild. They can go up and down like 50%
Especially,
in a day. But that's risky.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially these days, very volatile market. Pero Mimi, what I always felt about this
Mhm.
RTP24, it's not really an investment eh. It's really your part in helping the country. Kasi when nung nag-start yung ECQ, I think you would see this, then a lot of people are donating para makabili ng PPE. But then the problem kasi sometimes when you donate is if you donate too much, you don't have any safety net for you or your family,
Yep.
right? So the RTB is a good way of helping, but at the same time you're saving. So in that sense, yeah, it's an investment product na pambatulong. Yeah,
Well, it's investing in the country,
that's correct.
essentially. Hmm.
Correct.
Michelle, question. How much is government targeting to raise with
Mhm.
RTB 24? And do you know how much we've raised so far? Or we'll only find out at the end of the offer period, which is when? Until when nga pala can people buy this?
Okay, so the offer period ends at August 7. Okay, so
Okay.
after August 7, sarado na, I can't buy the RTB 24
Two more
anymore.
weeks. 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. Pag si BTR, pag na-reach na niya yung target ng country, right? To let's say raise X amount, they can stop the offer period a bit earlier. So if you wanna buy, it's buy now.
Maybe now.
Yeah.
Yes.
In terms
How
of
much is
target,
the target?
sorry.
How much is the target?
I'm not 100% sure about the target, but I think it's if we can raise siguro mga 200 or 300 billion pesos
Wow.
for the RTB, that would be very helpful for the country.
For the country.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the app, it sounds so simple, but actually, I understand this system is run by blockchain. Is that true?
Yeah. So the system itself is not entirely blockchain
Mhm.
enabled, but we are relying on blockchain technology to power the system. What do I mean? Blockchain is normally known as, I don't know if everyone's familiar, but it's the technology behind Bitcoin.
Actually, yun nga lang eh. Kilala ng tao blockchain for Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's right. Because to be honest, parang maybe kwento rin ng konti. And I guess we've known each other for a long time. I was always with a bank, di ba?
Yes.
Um, but when I came across Bitcoin, what I found very interesting about Bitcoin is that nobody controls the ledger. Okay? Hindi siya yung parang ang nakatakot kasi is pagka may electronic money,
Aha.
paano malalaman na they're not making more or paano malalaman if tunay yan or counterfeit? So Bitcoin solves that problem.
Aha.
Um, because of the technology called blockchain. So we're using that same technology to record the RTB transaction.
Ah. So does it make the recording more secure?
Yes, it does. It does. So let's say uh, merong receipt, right? Um, you say na you bought 10,000 in bonds, pero yung sa app, you go to Union Bank and you claim the money, baka
Aha.
5,000 lang, right? There's a discrepancy. The blockchain will have the actual truth, okay? Kung magkano talaga yung pinasok mo. Sorry.
Oh,
That
wow.
can never be tampered. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so, for example, Nichelle, for the because this is the first time that bonds are finally offered through the app, does it mean that the succeeding bonds pwede na rin through here? So parang it's a one-stop shop if you want to buy government bonds. Is that the
So
plan?
hopefully we can take that route, no? Because the Treasury naman issues bonds all the time, eh. And I think these days kailangan talagang maging digital so that we can distribute more effectively. So uh, there wala pa namang plans, but I'm pretty confident na yeah, going forward we'll have more bonds there.
But the system is ready. The app is ready.
Yeah, the
Correct.
app is ready. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
I think maybe if a lot of the viewers have downloaded and tried it na, they might say, "Oh, ang bagal." And that's because we're also still we're this is also still a work in progress in some sense. No, parang um, we developed this in a span of 5 weeks, and there
Wow.
are still yeah, manual processes na we're trying to fix.
Wait lang, baka matakot yung mga tao. 5 weeks, ganun kabilis. But you guys were working on blockchain for the longest time na. It's just
Yeah,
the app.
correct. So, ano naman, we've been an exchange for almost 2 years now.
Mhm.
So we're very familiar with creating financial systems. Yeah. So, but the app itself is relatively new.
Mhm. Galing. How's the reception been so far?
So far, we were able to receive about 20,000 registrations. So that's actually that's kind of fast because we only made it available last week. Hopefully, we get more participants because the RTB 24 is really important for our country. So hopefully, we can get more users.
20,000 registrations? Wow.
Yeah, 20,000 registrations.
Well, if everybody, if all the registrations translate to an investment minimum of one bond, you're talking about 100 million pesos raised already to help the country rise back up, not to recover.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's in 1 week pa lang. But hopefully we can do more. And if not now, then at a later date, right? Like yung 20,000 users maybe can put in more then. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Again, the offer is until when is the offer? August
August
7th.
Then. Yes,
Wow.
that's right.
Okay. So is there anything else that we have to know when we wanna, get into the bonds through the Bonds.PH app? Anything
Mhm.
else?
Right. So I think the app itself, we did our best to make sure that it's easy to use, etc. Um, but if you download, there could be delays, no? And when you use it, like getting yourself familiar, or on the back end you submit an application, and we're kami ni Union Bank, we're still reviewing other applications right now, so minsan medyo mabagal. So the best thing talaga to do is to download as early as possible,
Yes.
and do your KYC as early as possible so that we don't hit the August 7 cutoff date.
Actually, that's the goal, no? To raise the money as fast as we can because the country needs it.
Yes.
Diba? For mga recovery efforts, health, I imagine. Okay,
Yeah.
so before we stop or end the conversation on the bonds, I'm very curious lang about, kasi PDAX has been doing the exchange for like how many years already. So you know Bitcoin so well. So I'm sure that some of those watching us now will want to hear your thoughts about Bitcoin. Has since recovered. Now I think it's back to 9,500 yata.
Yeah, so it's found a good support level. Right? Like I think a lot of the uh, fears from before was that, and this one is probably, this one's probably middle of last year, right? A lot of people are saying now, oh, Bitcoin is done, right? Yan, 3,000, 4,000 level. But I think Bitcoin has earned a very special place in the global financial system. Eh. And explain ko ng konti. Before Bitcoin kasi, you don't really have one asset that trades pretty much everywhere and is accessible everywhere, right? So if for example, I'm not optimistic or feeling ko uh, bababa yung value ng wealth ko if I keep it in Philippine pesos or stocks, Philippine stocks, I might choose to buy Bitcoin because Bitcoin is supported globally, right? So if other countries are doing well, people are wealthier in other countries, then the price of Bitcoin could go up because there could be more demand there relative to demand here in the Philippines. So my holdings can appreciate. So it's a no. It's very abstract. The closest comparison is gold. Parang when people say na pag may crisis, go back to gold. Because everybody in the world goes to gold. So gold will go up whenever people are afraid. And see, Bitcoin is earning a very similar, a very similar following.
Nichel, from an investment perspective, I guess important then to tell your viewers that it doesn't have to be just one or the other. Na parang you can have a portfolio if you wanna be a little more adventurous, go for the higher return stocks, okay. But you allocate some, yung medyo sigurado, which is like bonds, fixed income. Then you can play a little with Bitcoin or with other assets, no? Is that right?
So when you invest your money, okay, and this is siguro this is ano na rin, like good advice for everybody, right? When you invest, you always have to be mindful about your return objectives and your risk appetite, okay? Risk tolerance. What do I mean? If I am, kunwari, I'm in my 20s, may trabaho ko, kumikita ko, wala naman akong ginagastusan, I can afford to be a little bit more risky with my investments. Okay? Because I can still earn it back if nalugi ako, right? I can still be risky.
Okay.
If I'm older and I count on monthly dividends or like monthly interest income to sustain myself because I'm retired, baka dapat hindi ka na bumibili ng assets that are risky. Okay? So if you're investing, make sure na you figure out also what your requirements are. And if ang requirement mo is, okay, I can't really, hindi ko pwedeng ilagay ito sa Bitcoin because gagamitin ko to pambili ng bahay next year and I don't know if ano yung price ng Bitcoin next year, then you might as well invest in bonds, right? Or do a mix, right? Like, siguro 5%, pwede kong maitalo, put it in stocks or cryptocurrencies para mas mas may potential din ng konti. But it's always a balance between what returns you want and the risk that you can sustain.
I'm very curious because you always hear this from yung mga I guess advocates of stock markets. They always say na it's 100 minus your age.
That's 100 minus your age.
The answer is the percentage of na dapat i-allocate mo to the riskier assets. May ganon.
Oh, wow.
But it's kanya-kanya, no? It's
kanya-kanya.
no hard or fast rule.
Yeah,
really
and I
is.
guess age is just one, ano, no? Age is just one parang indicator of risk. Parang some people are already very senior, but then ang dami-dami naman nilang assets, so they can afford to be a bit risky or a bit more, uh, uh, adventurous. Yeah.
Because yeah, I guess because today parang so many things are competing for your money.
Mm.
'Di ba? Parang next in the next few months, you have another IPO coming up. You've got a REITs. REITs
Uh-huh.
next week will be on offer. Then you've got the bonds.
Mhm.
So parang ang daming nagko-compete for the money. So you
Right.
really have to figure out what's
Maybe
the
I can
right.
interview you a bit. Maybe I can interview you a bit. What topics are out there? Because I know na in your role, you always get to speak with titans of industry, talagang
Mm.
experts in their fields. What else are we seeing now in terms of the market?
You know, everyone's on a wait and see mode.
Mm-mm.
That's what they say, ah.
Yeah.
Parang I guess there's one really nice interview I had earlier this week. Stephen Kuunyeng, Evercore
Yeah.
Asia.
I
My
worked
good,
for a while.
such a small world. I'm going to tell him. He's gonna be so proud.
I
You know
worked for
what
a
to do.
very short period. Yeah, in Hong Kong. Yeah.
But you know, ang ganda, he put it in perspective. Sabi niya, when you're an investor, you look at the market, it's either three things. You ask three questions. The first investor says, is the glass half empty?
Yeah.
Oh. The second investor asks, is the glass half full? Okay. The third investor asks, is the glass even does the glass even have water or is it vodka? Perspective. It's really just perspective. And he was saying, you know what? You just have to make an intellectual decision about sectors that you like, and
Mhm.
then you just stick to it. And then as you go along, you add or subtract
Mhm.
based on how things progress. Ganda, no? Parang natuwa nga
Yeah.
ako na parang I've never heard anyone describe it that way. Na parang, oo nga, kasi when you talk to these analysts, some, as in all are equally galing, ah. But
Right.
some,
Right.
you know what, this market, you don't buy kasi it's gonna go down. It's really
Yeah.
gonna go down pa. And then another one naman, equally galing, will say, you know what, this market is so down, it's time to buy. It's like being on a fire sale. Imagine you
Right.
walk into a store and all
Mhm.
of the things that you like are on sale.
Right.
And then yun. So kanya-kanya talaga. Baka nga it really depends on the kind of investor you are. But ang important, I think, is that you invest. No?
Yeah, that's right. Like I think time horizon's a big thing here too,
Mhm.
right? Like uh yes, the economy is somewhat impaired. Yes, generally market values are down. So whatever you buy now, chances are you'll make a profit off of them maybe in 20 years time, 10 years, right? 10 years time. But the question to say is how long is your horizon? If you want to make money tomorrow or by next year, um, then the question becomes more complicated. Um, and uh, okay, there's a what do you know what the ayoko na gayahin, but do you know
No!
the differences between a good haircut and a bad
I
haircut?
know! I know! 3 weeks, right?
3 weeks.
Why do
And
I know that?
kasi yeah, so kasi sometimes we're biased to look at where things are right now, eh. But you know, if papasok ka din sa market and your horizon is longer than 3 weeks, it doesn't matter if it's a bad haircut.
It will grow. The
Yeah,
hair will grow.
yeah, that's right.
I remember somebody before said the best time to invest was yesterday.
Yeah, meron
Well,
ding ano
you're
eh.
young, no? Well, you're
Yeah,
young. diba, have more time.
I think most of our audience or our customers at PDAX are young, very
The
young then.
millennials. Oh, wow. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's nice. That's
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Galing, galing. Oo nga. It's
The, the upcoming Mimi, the upcoming IPO and REIT listing are what's the sentiment there?
ah well, okay. In context, we're coming from Mary Mart. Wait,
Right,
we're coming from Mary Mart. Okay, the Mary
right.
Mart IPO, whose price actually tripled
Yeah,
um, in the week of IPO. So,
yeah,
talagang a lot of people made money. It's high risk, high return talaga.
yeah. That's
The price has since, normalized. So a lot of people are probably thinking, shucks, Converge ICT mag-IPO, baka mag-Mary Mart yan. In short times, 3 times 4, in 5 days, ha? Imagine, Michelle, if you invested what? 10,000? At the end of the week, you'll be 30, forty
yeah,
thousand. So
yeah, yeah.
for people who are expecting the Converge ICT to do a pull off a Mary Mart, parang malabo daw because it's so big. Ang
Mm,
hirap, 25 billion versus ang liit lang ng Mary Mart.
yeah. Mary Mart was I think 1.5 billion.
Yung Mary Mart, magaan lang so madaling i-lift. Pero yung Converge, ang laki-laki. How do you lift a giant so high? Diba? Mabigat. So, but a lot of people are excited kasi maraming mga bagong Converge na converts kasi the service daw is maganda. So, they want to
Right.
support. And lang, Michelle. And, syempre, Converge ICT is the other Dennis Uy. Hmm? So we hear a lot about Dennis Uy from Davao, which is
Right.
Dito Telecommunity, also into the telco. And here comes Dennis Uy, the one from Pampanga. So let's see how he will perform. But yeah, Converge ICT. And next week is the offer period for A-REITs. Parang the real estate investor trust for the Ayala Land Group.
Yeah.
Okay na. Sabi nila ni Shell, it's like a parang hybrid. Parang may pagka-fixed income because you get the rent.
Right. I think
What do you think?
sorry.
Because I know, Nichelle, that you've done the Wall Street. You've played the big leagues. You've played with the big boys. So what do you think when you look at how investors here trade?
Mhm.
Are we doing it the right way? Are we?
Well,
What do you think?
I cannot say I'm an expert. That's for sure. And
Mm.
I think,
Possible effect, but okay.
no, because parang every I think it's safe to say that every market is different, right? Ours
Mhm.
kasi we're relatively speaking, our market is small, right? Relatively
Mhm.
speaking, ours is small. We have a population of 100 million people. We only have 260 companies listed on the exchange.
And
That
less
rate
than
is
1 million, sorry, and less than 1 million Filipinos invested in the stock market.
That's right. That's right. And we also have a lot of companies that are still closely held or maliit lang yung float. What does that mean? We have many companies that only 15% of the shares are trading publicly, right? Sometimes not even. Um, so what that does kasi is uh, the the requirements for disclosures or the public the public access to information, timely information, is not as sophisticated here as it is in other countries, right? Because uh, because a lot is closely held, um, uh, it's uh, the price is well supported by insiders, right? For example, family A that owns company A, they're not really gonna sell all their shares. They're not. They're gonna hold on to these, right? Um, Whereas in other countries where you have a you have a good base of public investors. If the public doesn't believe that your company will perform, they really will sell your stock, right?
Mhm.
And they really will short it even because shorting is available in other countries.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, ours is very unique in that sense because we're still growing.
Because you mentioned the public ownership. Because right now our minimum public ownership is 10%.
Mhm.
And the goal of the PSE, the Philippine Stock Exchange, is to raise that to 25 over the next 5 years. So that means mas malaki yung share ng lumalaki yung share ng investing public. I see. And it matters. It matters?
It matters because um, you'll have more you'll have more uh, public shareholders
Mhm.
who will need analyst reports, who will need advisors, who will go to board meetings or shareholder meetings and say, this is what we need to do. Versus now, na a lot's closely held. Yeah, it makes a big difference. Yeah.
Nichelle, I'm very tempted to ask you a question, but you might kill me.
What
Should
is
I
that?
not ask the question? No, because today there was big news. SM, with the SM, I'm sure you've heard na parang Henry Big Boy C Jr. unloaded uh, $500 million worth of SM shares.
Mm.
Is that even newsworthy, or are we reading too much into nothing?
Well, I actually that was news to me, no. But pero it's like for instance, like insiders who sell their stakes, they have to disclose that, diba? So I'm sure there's a legitimate reason for it, etc. Pero the reason also why we have very strict disclosure requirements on that is because you don't want the captain to be the first one to get the life vest and abandon ship,
Yeah.
diba? That's what you want to avoid. Um, but maybe I don't know. Maybe we may read too much into it because walang ibang news. But yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure our market watchdogs are protecting us.
Mhm. But okay, for those who are watching and maybe thinking, "Oh my goodness, parang wala nang shares si Big Boy." Malaki pa rin ang ownership niya. As in, apparently that $500 million may nag-estimate brings down his ownership to from 7.2% to 7.13%. So malaki pa rin.
Yeah,
Parang the actual number is big, but when you look in comparison, very invested pa rin. The captains are still very much invested. Exciting. So do you still, Nicole, do you still monitor the markets very closely, like different assets? I know that you're into bonds now, but like, do you still monitor the other assets?
so actually, I don't pay attention to the markets anymore. To be quite honest, siguro I'm more heavily involved in crypto now than anything else. I'm not even personally invested in a lot of bonds, maybe some stocks, pero uh, not not to the point na like you, I would still like read every day or like follow the markets every day. Yeah.
Well, going back to cryptocurrency, sorry I remember somebody asked me this question before. Ang worry daw niya is baka illiquid. Na one day when he's ready to sell like the Bitcoin, baka wala nang bumili. Is that a valid concern, or would you say no? Anytime there's a seller, there will be a buyer to match.
So what's very good, and I say this lang for Bitcoin, no, not
Mhm.
for any other new ICO token out there.
Mhm.
Bitcoin's well supported globally, right? You have a lot of big exchanges all around the world, and the only time that you won't be able to sell your Bitcoin is if all these exchanges close down, and I don't think it's likely to happen.
Mhm.
Likely na, no. na if you buy a stock, right, and then it gets listed from, let's say, the PSU, wala kang mapupuntahan dyan, right? Like, that's probably more likely than for
Mhm. But I'm sure not the exchanges won't close, especially PDAX. Here for life, no?
Yeah, yeah, that's the
Okay,
plan.
curious question, Michelle. Since like ang dami-daming assets, do you have plans to make PDAX a multi-asset platform? Now, eventually, if I were an investor, I'd open the app and say, what do I want to buy today? Do I want to buy stocks? Do I want to buy bonds? Do I want to buy crypto? And it's all there. Is that the big future plan?
Actually, I would say yes, right? And
Oh,
kasi what we trade here sa PDAX, yes, you can get Bitcoin, you can get Ether, you can get cryptocurrencies. Pero the trading platform kasi is meant for digital assets, right?
mm,
And digital assets can be cryptocurrencies, or they can be bonds in token form. Like,
mhm.
if we take the bonds app further, they can be stocks also in token form. This is not far fetched for the Philippines, because the SEC has already drafted rules for digital assets. So yeah, the plan is eventually, if you want to buy, um, let's say, commodities, right? We don't have a commodities market here. Hopefully, you can get that through PDAX.
Wow, exciting times ahead.
Hmm.
Parang this platform is it can just go anywhere, no? Parang
Yeah, obviously, like there's a lot of pieces that need to kind of fall in place,
Mhm.
but that's really what we're trying to do, to make sure here, like in the Philippines, we have access to as many asset classes as we can.
We just hope that the regulators and the policies can keep up with the speed of innovation. Kasi
Yeah,
this is going to unlock a lot of potential for Filipinos for wealth
right.
creation and preservation.
Mm. That's right. So actually, what's interesting, Nini, is uh, the the regulation market game is it's kind of a chicken and egg situation.
Mhm.
Yes, the SEC can write rules, or the regulators can write rules. Pero if the market doesn't need this, then
Mhm.
it's a waste of regulatory resources,
Yeah.
right? So the SEC will also have to assess, like, kailangan ba talaga to ng market, right? Kasi if hindi to kailangan ng market, then why would we create a whole new framework for it? So it's a chicken and egg. That's why in many countries, the best way to foster innovation is through sandboxes, right?
Mhm.
What's a sandbox? A sandbox is yung regulator saying, okay, company A, maganda yung
Uh-huh.
idea niya na, wala pa kaming rules for that. Why don't you execute? And then babantayan namin kayo. Tingnan natin how that works. And then okay, people are using it. It's viable. Gagawa ko ng rules for it. Right? That's a sandbox. Unfortunately, we don't have a regulatory sandbox sa Philippines right now. But
Mhm.
that's kind of how that normally happens in other countries.
But do you feel that the regulators, the government agencies are supportive of itong mga digital innovations?
Yeah, so for sure, I think yung pinaka swerte about us here sa Philippines, and specifically us, no, a fintech company in the Philippines, is we have very supportive regulators. In other countries, you won't be able to just write the FTC commissioners or the BSP directors directly. But here, they're very proactive, right?
Mhm.
So, um, and that's really because part ng mandate ng regulator natin is to develop the capital markets.
Mhm.
it's not just about policing the market, right?
Yeah.
Developing the market. So these things are very supportive of. Yeah.
Um, I think malapit na yata yung time check natin. But baka matapos na, so I wanted to squeeze in this question for the bond. Sorry, I want to go back to the Bonds.PH. Nichelle, eventually, do you think this can be like a sari-sari? This can penetrate the sari-sari store market. Naget mo? Yung parang, for those who have maybe even less than 5,000 to invest, but they want to contribute, they want to try their hand in investing sa bonds for the government, for the country. Do you think that's possible down the line, down the road?
Yeah, I think it's very possible. Historically, yung RTBs have just been set at 5,000, but we can lower the infrastructure cost enough, right? Through automating processes, by leveraging blockchain a little bit more, we can lower the cost of distribution by. If mababa yung cost of distribution, that doesn't need to stay at 5,000 pesos. You can go down to maybe 500 pesos. Right?
Yes.
That becomes possible. And we're working hard to make sure that's where we're headed so that everyone can participate.
Yes. I think that would be the ultimate success when you've got the tindera in the sari-sari store, having the option to, okay, I'll put in 500 for the country and for savings. For a decent return over 5 years, I'll put in 500 there. Na parang it makes it inclusive. Parang it's
Yeah.
not just, diba, preaching to the choir, but actually getting more people into the system. Galing, galing. Considering na, how many pa ba? How many percent of the country are still unbanked? Parang 70.
5%, something like that, 65%.
Yeah, I think you should beat that. Parang you should unahan yun na yung goal na yun. Kasi we have 65-70% unbanked. I mean, if you can get millions of Filipinos into the system, that's gonna make a huge difference.
Actually, financial inclusion is not just about, okay, I have a bank account. Hindi eh. Financial inclusion is about having the ability to transact with anybody in the country electronically. It's about having access to loans. Pag kailangan ko magpatayo ng bahay, kailangan kong bumili ng sasakyan, kailangan kong palakihin yung negosyo ko. That's financial inclusion eh, getting life insurance. And if we don't have access to financial services or banking, our ability to grow as a country is limited. Right?
Yeah.
Tayo to, okay, cash-based lahat. Yeah, sayang yung potential. Yeah.
Parang I imagine it's parang when you make it inclusive so that even the smaller players, the first timers can come and participate, parang it's a buy-in on the Philippine economy. It's a buy-in. Essentially, that was the phrase I was looking for kanina for the Bonds.PH. Now you're eventually buying in. It's a buy-in for the future, the program.
Sa bayan, di ba?
Yes. So yeah, it's doing the part. Ang galing, ang galing. I am going to download. Actually, I downloaded the app. Fairly easy, but I have to complete lang the requirements, which kasi naputo lang ako kasi I had to do something. But I'm very excited. I saw yung interface. So far, so good. So hopefully, I can take part as well in this.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you also for taking time to speak with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So hi guys, hi Mimi, hi Nichelle. Thank you once again for joining us. Thank you Nichelle also for joining us, and thank you everybody. That's about all the time we have for this week's webinar. See you guys again next week, no? And if you guys want to see our previous episodes, you can just see it in our list of videos. We've had conversations with traders and also with Lazada's head of acquisition to talk about the new normal, and we talk about different topics every week, no? Mimi, if our viewers want to reach you, where can they find you?
Oh my goodness, I can plug. Well, you can, nahiya ako actually. You can watch. I do the stock market. I'm helping with the business program, so I hope that you can watch ANC. We do have business programs in the morning and in the afternoon. I'm also very active on Twitter. It's hashtag no. It's at sorry I'm not techie. It's at Michelle underscore letter D underscore ONG. So yeah, we tweet a lot of investment tips and my insider stories. So juicy yan. The
On
best.
the line, these are all hot off the press, right? Like on the
Yes,
fly.
thank you.
I've included the link down below, so viewers who want to, you can just check her out there. No? So once again, thank you, Mimi, thank you, Nichelle, and thank you, viewers, for watching. We'll see you again next week. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.